Hey guys, I'm Chef Team Max. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to make a simple pasta dish. How simple is that, right? So you should be subscribing to me, and the reason is because I want to teach you how to cook, you guys. And you have to be kind of coming back and watching these videos and understanding all these little intricacies that make cooking easy, right? A lot of people just think, okay, I'm gonna read this recipe, and they get very confused, and if they don't have all those ingredients, they get very confused. But understanding cooking and understanding what each ingredient does to a dish and how by knowing that allows us to make our own judgments and our own changes in these recipes and have them still taste great. Well, that's what we're looking for, and that's what I want to teach you. So make sure that you click subscribe. You give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and ring that bell, and you'll see all the great new things I have coming up. So I'll see you in a second, and we're gonna get this pasta going. Okay guys, so today I'm gonna turn my pan on here. I wanna get it hot, and while we do that, I'm gonna take some cherry tomatoes. Now, I've got beautiful cherry tomatoes here. In the summertime, you know, we've got tons of great cherry tomatoes. I've got gold ones here and red ones, and these kind of purplish ones. Almost like a brandy wine of a cherry tomato. And I just want to cut them in half. And I'm cutting them in half because I want them to release some of their water. If you left them whole and we're just cooking for a short time, they wouldn't really break down as easy. So by cutting them in half, it allows them time to break down. You don't have to cut them up tiny or anything like that. This is just simple, right? So we're doing that, and we're going to get our pan started here. So to get our pan started, I'm going to put some nice olive oil in here. This could be good olive oil or like decent olive oil. It doesn't have to be your like finishing oil, okay? So just a good olive oil. And then I've got some garlic here. Now this garlic is a garlic puree or garlic confit. And you can click up above here to see the video how I make this. I take a lot of garlic cloves, I cook them really slow for like an hour, then I puree them, make this paste. This paste sits in my fridge for months. This one's 2 months old, I think. So with that, the garlic is cooked already. I don't have to peel the garlic and do all that. If you don't have this and you haven't made it yet, then just use some fresh garlic, 2 or 3 garlic cloves, sliced up thin, and put those in your oil to warm up. And while you do that, I'm going to throw my cherry tomatoes in here too and get these started to get those start breaking down. Now, I'm going to stick a little bit of salt on there, probably a half a tablespoon of salt, okay? And then pepper. And I want this to kind of, you hear it sauteing up nice, coming together, right? While we're waiting, I've got this Calabrian chili. So there it is right there. It's Italian. This is an Italian spicy chili. So with that too, there's always a little oil in here too. There's always a lot of oil, but I use the oil for so much stuff that I tend to like run out of it before the peppers are done. So with that, we have a couple of these little chilies, and I just want to cut them up and put them in here. Now, if you don't have the Calabrian chili, that's okay. Just use red chili flakes. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about teaching you how to cook, right? When I'm teaching you how to cook, I'm teaching you that we're adding spice to this. And by adding spice to it, if you don't have that particular spice, you can add another one. You could add chili flakes. If you don't have chili flakes, you could add some cayenne pepper. If you don't have cayenne pepper, you can maybe chop up a jalapeno, put that in there. So you're just adding spice, all right? So I've got some tomato here, some canned San Marzano tomatoes that I've just crushed up with my hand, okay? And I'm gonna put those in here, but I'm gonna wait first, and I'm gonna move this around. And these are kind of just toasted. That's all we're looking to do with this, is toast this, okay? Now, I'm gonna add this in, okay? And I'm gonna let this cook down a little bit, okay? As you can see, this is starting to simmer already, okay? And one of the things that you can do to give it some time to cook down, because we want it to cook down, we don't get it too thick. Today we're going to have some ricotta on this dish, and you can click up here. Again, I have a ricotta recipe that I've done. That's how to make ricotta at home. Super simple. It's 4 ingredients. It's milk, salt, lemon, and love, I guess, you know. So That's it. And then we're going to actually put a little parsley in it at the end after we've made it. But it's easy to make, so make it at home and try it. So what you'll have left over is this whey, which is the water that's strained out of that cheese when you separated it. And I don't throw that away. And sometimes I'll use it for stuff like this when I want to add a little bit of liquid or water to this. I'll add that because I have that in the fridge, and I use it for lots of other things as well. Whenever I need water to deglaze on something, but I like also to have that milky flavor. Then it works great. It also has a nice acidity to it. So these tomatoes are sweet. We want to have a little bit of acidity in there, and we're going to let this cook down. And that's going to give us that little bit of liquid's going to give us time to cook it down. Some people like put a little white wine in there. You can do that as well. And one of the other things that we're going to add to this is I have some fettuccine that I just cooked behind me, and when I strained it out, I kept some of the pasta water. So we're going to add some pasta water in here too. Why do we do that? Because that's the starch, right? That starch that's in the pasta comes out in the water, and you're going to add that. That's why when you salt your water, when you cook your pasta, don't overly salt the water, because if you do that and you use your pasta water, it's going to make your dish too salty. So remember that. All these little key pieces to doing that. But this dish, when you cook this tomato down with the starch that's in your pasta from that pasta water, that's going to give you body. And when you put the pasta in there, that's going to help it stick to the pasta and coat it nicely, okay? So I've got some basil here. You can see I've got beautiful, this is a little basil sprig I have from my garden, and I've chopped some basil up here, and that's just been roughly chopped. Nothing special, okay? You don't have to worry about cutting it a specific way, and that's it, all right? So at this point, we've got our salt and pepper in there. We don't want to add more because we want to see how it tastes after. After I put some of that salted pasta water in there, I want to see where we are, okay? You don't want to overkill it. So let's cook this down. We'll be back in 5 minutes, and we'll check it out and see how we're doing. Okay, guys, we're back. It's been about 4 to 5 minutes. Our pasta sauce has come together, and you can see, look, you can see how it's thickened up, right? It's creamy. There's still chunks of the San Marzano that were crushed in there, as well as you can see the cherry tomatoes haven't been, overly cooked in there. We want them to be a little fresh tasting. That's the point of putting fresh in with the canned, is because you're going to mix those two flavors up, okay? So here I've got some pasta that I just kind of pulled off and strained. Okay, some fettuccine, okay? And I'm going to put this in here with I'll put this in my dish. And what I want to do is I want to just stir this in. The reason is this pasta still has a lot of starch on it. I take this pasta off when it's still al dente. If the recommendation for the pasta you're using for your dried pasta is let's say it's 12 to 13 minutes, which is normal for al dente for fettuccine. So if it's 12 to 13 minutes, then bring it out at like 11 minutes, okay? Because we're going to cook it for another minute or two in here. And we don't want to overcook the pasta. We still want it to be al dente. So make sure to pull it off between 10 and 11 minutes. And then at that point, we can have a pasta that's properly cooked, but it's also brought the flavor of that starch that's on it into this pasta sauce, able to cook those together. And what we'll end up with is a really nice pasta with good flavor, and it's holding on the noodles. That's the important part. One of the things too, it's like if you have too much olive oil on your pasta when you pull it out, that's okay if you're going to use a pasta that has different flavors. Let's say you're putting capers on it, or anchovy, or fish sauce, and it's not going to have this tomato sauce on it where it needs to grab on it. It's more of an oily based sauce, lemon zest, that kind of thing, parsley, basil, right? But if it's a sauce like this where you've got a tomato sauce that needs to grab on it, you don't want to coat all of those heavily with olive oil, and then they're not going to be able to hog the sauce on them. Now with this, we're getting towards the end, so I'm just going to drop my basil in at the end here, okay, and stir that in. What you end up with now is this really flavorful pasta with really nice basil flavor, that freshness of the basil. You can see the pasta itself is starting to you know, thicken up the sausage, coating it nicely. Okay, and that's what I want. Now, at this point, while this is finishing, I want to taste it. I'm tasting just the right amount of salt. I think it could be a little spicier, so I'm not going to add any more calabrese peppers, but I'm just going to add some fresh ground pepper to that. If you like black pepper, if you like it spicier and you other than that, you can always add another good pinch of Italian chili flakes. That's always really nice in there. But pepper is really good, a good piece for this. So with this, I want to take my bowl out. Okay. And I'm going to turn this off now. And I'm going to put this in my spoon here. And I'm just going to give myself probably, I don't know, probably 2 of those is good per person, right? Is like a good amount. 2, 6. You know, when you're doing your ladles like that, this is only probably like a 6-ounce ladle. So I give 2. That gives me like 12, a little bit less than 12 ounces of pasta in here, which is quite a bit. But it's a nice sized bowl, right? And then I'm just going to put some of the sauce on top, right? Like this. My cherry tomatoes on there as well. Want to have plenty of cherry tomatoes, okay? And then I'm going to finish this off with my ricotta cheese that I made. So rather than doing Parmesan, which is normally what you would do if you had this pasta, we're going to have this really nice Parmesan. So this is called a quenelle. When you take 2 spoons and you kind of press them against each other. You see how I'm doing that? You don't have to do that. You could just plop it on, right? But if you want to make it really pretty, we'll put a little quenelle like that, right? I'll finish that with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil on the top, okay? We're going to put a little basil leaf there, and boom, I've got this amazing, great pasta dish that simple, super simple. What do we cook this in? 10 minutes? 12 minutes, as long as it cooks to do that. It's actually, the sauce almost is less time than it cooks to make the pasta, right? Perfectly al dente. With that, when you taste this, when you taste that cheese with it, it has this creaminess, really like milky flavor. It's totally different than the dried flavor you get from Parmesan. Now, if you don't have the ricotta and you're not going to do that, just do Parmesan. Grated Parmesan would be just fine. If you want to do store-bought ricotta, I would doctor it up a little. I put the ricotta that you have in a bowl. I would drizzle some good extra virgin olive oil in it, and then I would put a little squeeze of lemon juice, salt, and cracked pepper, and some chopped parsley. And that, at that point, you could just do the same thing, quenelle like that. Okay? So try this at home. It's great like this, super simple, and fun to do. Hopefully you learned something, and you come back and see me again. So make sure to click subscribe, and I'll see you back in my kitchen soon. I'm Chef Dean Max.